Imagine you're a pilot coming in for a landing on a crowded aircraft carrier deck. Sweat beads on your forehead as you carefully line up with what you think is your carrier. But in a split-second decision, you realize you've made a catastrophic mistake. You're about to land on the wrong aircraft carrier. What happens next? The consequences of this kind of mistake are severe and potentially deadly. We're about to take you on a gripping journey to discover exactly what happens when a pilot makes the ultimate error and lands on the wrong carrier. This riveting tale is packed with danger, high stakes, and split-second decisions that could mean the difference between life and death. Take advantage of every moment of this intense and dramatic story as we take you on a journey you'll always remember. In 1988, an unfortunate mishap occurred in the Arabian Sea involving two U.S. Navy aircraft carriers, USS Enterprise and USS John F. Kennedy. During operations, a Navy A-6 intruder was attempting to land on the USS Enterprise. But, due to an error in judgment, it mistakenly approached the USS John F. Kennedy. The USS John F. Kennedy lacked the proper landing gear required for the A-6, resulting in a fatal crash that tragically claimed the lives of both crew members aboard the aircraft. The Navy's investigation of the incident revealed that inadequate communication and the presence of other aircraft were contributing factors to the mistake. However, the implications of such an incident are not limited to the loss of life or damage to equipment. The potential for collision or other flight deck accidents is a major concern. Moreover, the unauthorized presence of aircraft on the deck poses a security risk, and it's crucial to quickly identify pilot and aircraft to protect the crew and the ship. In the event of a security breach, what advanced security measures does the Navy have to prevent unauthorized aircraft from landing on their carriers? Aside from the immediate worries about the possible loss of life and damage to equipment, landing on the wrong carrier can have long-term strategic effects. The carrier may not be able to do what it is supposed to do, and it may be much less able to do the given tasks. The U.S. Navy is a large and powerful force. It has 11 aircraft carriers, each of which can hold up to 90 planes and weighs hundreds of thousands of tons. The Navy spends a lot of time, money, and resources on these huge ships, home to tens of thousands of sailors. Navy pilots must be able to correctly identify the aircraft carrier they are supposed to land on to avoid misunderstandings or fights. These carriers show how powerful the United States is and are often sent to places where tensions are high. If you land on the wrong carrier by accident, the carrier's owner might see that as an act of aggression. Before taking off, pilots get a detailed briefing that includes information about the carrier they are supposed to land on. This helps them avoid situations like this. The Navy also uses unique markings and lights on the deck of the carrier and radio signals to help pilots find their designated carrier. Pilots are trained to watch for and pay attention to these cues as they approach the carrier. This reduces the chance of misidentification or confusion. How did the Navy develop the visual and radio cue system used to identify aircraft carriers, and how effective has it been in preventing misunderstandings? Even though the Navy does a lot to avoid confusion and misunderstandings, pilots may still need to catch up and land on the wrong carrier. When this happens, pilots can call the air traffic controllers on their carrier, who will either help them return to their original carrier or send them to a nearby airfield. But even with the best precautions, there have been times when people landed on the wrong carrier. During the Iraq War, a Navy FA-18 Hornet pilot accidentally landed on the USS Carl Vinson instead of the USS Abraham Lincoln, the ship he was supposed to land on. No one was hurt, and the pilot could take off and land safely on the right carrier. But what happens when the pilot does land on the wrong carrier? The Navy has rules for how to handle these kinds of situations. The pilot's carrier immediately starts a search and rescue mission, using helicopters, other aircraft, and search teams on the carrier's deck to find and bring back the pilot. To keep dangerous things from happening, it's important to stay alert and closely observe the details. The Navy has taken action against a pilot who landed on the wrong carrier and is also taking measures to prevent such incidents in the future. This may involve pausing flight operations or redirecting aircraft to other carriers. Although such events are rare, they can occur despite the extensive training the Navy pilots undergo. Fatigue is a factor that can increase the likelihood of such mistakes. Piloting a carrier-based aircraft is arduous and taxing, with pilots often flying long and grueling missions in challenging conditions. This can lead to exhaustion, impairing a pilot's ability to make sound decisions and stay alert. How do Navy pilots manage their fatigue during long and grueling missions, and what measures are in place to ensure they remain alert and focused while in flight? A U.S. Navy pilot is approaching an aircraft carrier for landing, and the intensity in the cockpit is through the roof. The pilot is dialed in and completely focused on the task. Their eyes scan back and forth between the various instruments in front of them, the runway ahead, and the ever-changing conditions surrounding them. With the constant noise and activity of multiple aircraft taking off and landing, the pilot must stay alert and attentive to avoid becoming distracted and losing track of which carrier they're supposed to be landing on. It's a high-pressure situation that demands the utmost attention and skill from these highly trained pilots. When landing on a carrier, the pilot relies on the landing signal officer, LSO, to provide crucial details about wind conditions, the carrier's exact position, and visual indicators to assist in the landing. The pilot must skillfully control their speed and altitude, making precise modifications to stay on track as they approach the carrier's deck. Flying a plane is an exciting and amazing thing to do, but landing on the deck of an aircraft carrier raises the stakes even more. As the plane gets closer to the landing spot, the wind, which is always a strong enemy, shakes it around, forcing the pilot to make quick decisions to keep the plane under control. But this is just the start. The deck of a carrier is a busy place where crew members and equipment move with purpose and precision. The pilot must move through this complex environment with laser-like focus, looking for other planes, obstacles, and of course, the all-important landing zone. Situational awareness must be at an all-time high as the pilot scans the deck, preparing for every possible situation and changing the flight plan accordingly. As the plane gets close to the landing zone, the pilot must ensure that the plane is perfectly lined up with the landing zone and that its speed is within the narrow parameters needed for a successful landing. Every step must be planned and precise, with no room for mistakes. Any change in these parameters could cause a disaster, so the pilot must always be on guard and focused. As the plane lands on the deck, the pilot's job is far from over. They must continue to stay in charge and use all of the plane systems to bring it to a safe stop. The brakes, engines, and steering must all work in perfect harmony, and the pilot must always make changes to keep the plane on course. When the plane is stopped, the pilot can breathe a sigh of relief, knowing they have done one of the hardest and most exciting things in aviation. A U.S. Navy pilot's training and skills are the best in the world because they have been honed through years of rigorous training and experience. Combined with modern aircraft's advanced technology, they can fly safely, even in the most dangerous places on land or at sea. The landing on an aircraft carrier is a true test of skill, focus, and nerves. It's a tribute to the bravery and dedication of the men and women who serve our country and put themselves in danger to protect us all. So the next time you see a U.S. Navy pilot in action, take a moment to appreciate the incredible skill and courage that goes into every mission they do. Please share your thoughts on the video in the comments section below. Did you find it informative? We'd love to hear from you. That's all for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please consider clicking the like and bell buttons to stay updated on our future content. We'll have another video for you soon. Take care until then.